Hello everyone and welcome to the NARSA weekly update for the week commencing Monday the 12th of April 2021. It's Gary Gillen here and I'm your host for this week's edition again, and I hope you're all doing very well, and I'm very happy to see competitive football come back to our screens this past weekend. I would like to start on a bit of a sombre note by expressing my sincere condolences to Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth and the rest of the royal family on the passing of His Royal Highness Prince Philip this past Friday. That was sad news, and he was most certainly a character and, more importantly, partner to our Queen for over 70 years. And so from everyone from NARSA, I truly hope he rests in peace, and he did indeed have a fantastic inning, making it almost to 100, and he served his Queen and his country very well during his long and very colourful life. So rest in peace, Prince Philip. From a games perspective, just the one game again this past weekend, and that was yesterday's league match at home to third placed Hibs, and which came with a 2-1 victory to our beloved team thanks to two brilliant goals that we scored. The first one from Joe Aribo, kind of volley type thing, and then the second an absolute peach from Ryan Kent, the sort of worldly type goal that we see him producing on occasion. It was just absolutely tremendous finish. It was a bit of a weird game for me, with honestly not a lot of action over the course of the game to truly speak of, but we did enough to win it and maintain our 100% record at Ibrox for the season. There were some uncharacteristic mistakes at the back, which contributed actually to them getting their goal to have the lead at that particular point of the game. But I honestly, and this is on reflection, and even during the game, I didn't think we were in any danger of losing an equaliser. And so it's another tight one against Hibs score-wise, but overall the win was well-deserved and pretty comfortable, I thought, at the end. Some uncharacteristic defending, as I mentioned. I thought Borna Barisic looked pretty tired, hopefully just leaving some in the tank for the Old Firm game this coming weekend. We'll see how that goes. But another victory and another opportunity to move us towards our unbeaten season, which Steven Gerrard has come out quite pointedly and said that's one of the major targets that we have collectively as a team between now and the end of the season. So long may that continue. And as mentioned, our next game will be this coming weekend's Scottish Cup fourth round tie at home to the mob from the East, or as Clive Tilsley decided to call them on commentator duties yesterday on RTV, our friends over at Parkhead, or whatever it was he said. I'm not 100% sure exactly what he said. I was in such a cloud of rage after that. Clive, you need to get better educated on what is and isn't cool to say on our communications for our great club, man. We don't have any friends at Parkhead, okay? So get a grip and don't do that again. And as you'll likely know by now, due to Prince Philip's funeral being held on Saturday afternoon UK time, Celtic get almost another 24 hours in the Scottish Cup as a result, with our game now being Sunday, April the 18th at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's this coming Sunday at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, a 3 p.m. kickoff back home. I'm not 100% sure why it took the SFA so long to come up with a revised fixture. It seemed like a no-brainer, but, I guess maybe to be a wee bit fair to them, it was, Prince Philip died on Friday, and they announced on the weekend when the funeral was going to be, and the next working day was today, and they did it that day, so maybe they get a wee bit of a pass. But it just seemed a wee bit odd that they took until after the business day, I guess after close of business day UK time, to announce when it was going to be. Maybe it was just because I was desperate to know when it was going to be and whether I had to actually take Friday afternoon off or not, because that was one of the dates that was mooted as being a potential alternative date for the Old Firm game. But Sunday, 3 p.m. UK time, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for us over here in North America. And the last time you'll remember that we played that mob, actually the last couple of times, really, we weren't truly firing on all cylinders, and we had the 1-1 draw at Sharkhead. But at that particular game was obviously the most poignant part of that was Alfie breaking his scoring duck against them with that great header at the back post that he managed to steer in. The game before at Ibrox, we won thanks to an OG. So for next weekend, or this weekend, I guess I should say, I'm hoping that we get back to our scintillating best and really put them to the sword and end their season once and for all. I'm all about trying to step on their throat when they're down, because that's exactly what they did to us, and I will continue to think like that until my last breath, to be dead honest. But we really want to get, as I say, unbeaten, and we want to have a league and cup double to celebrate come the 22nd of May. So time will tell. I'm really truly hoping that Stevie and the boys can do the business here on Sunday to get us a place in the quarter-final on the 24th of April, the week after. So we'll see how that goes. So from a points per game perspective that I'm going to drag out to the end of the season, we went up 0.01 from last week to 2.71 points per game. And that's honestly mostly due to rounding. And that mob went up to 2.12 points per game, which is up 0.03. I'm not 100% sure why that is, because 3 points is 3 points, but maybe just because they're so far behind us, the calculator was a wee bit generous to them or something. But they went up 0.03 to 2.12. So 2.71 points per game versus 2.12, and that was due to their meaningless thrashing of a completely off-form Livingston in a meaningless game for both teams. If that gives them the confidence that they come to strut over to Ibrox on Sunday and get a hiding, then I'm okay with that. Just a regular weekly plug here for the RTV vouchers. If you do want or need any information on RTV vouchers, please talk to your president or secretary and they will get in touch with me directly and we can have a conversation about that. And I've said for the last probably, month or so, that no one has gotten in touch unless there's been a defunct voucher or something has went wrong technically with their account. But this last week we actually had 3 new additions from a couple of different clubs out in Ontario. So that was great to see that people are still taking advantage of that and still getting access to Rangers TV through the formal channels as well. So as I say, if anyone else needs anything before the end of this week or before the Old Firm game on the weekend, please by all means get in touch with your president or secretary and they will chat with me as well. From a shout-out perspective from this week, I am more than delighted to announce that my good friend from back home in Paisley, Andy Carey Sr., who is dad of our very own social media guru of the same name, Andy Carey, was given the all clear from his bowel cancer treatment that he's been having over the past couple of years. And I know Big Andy, as we call him, has had a hell of a time of it over the last couple of years, and especially over this past Christmas break where he went in to get a bit of a routine part of the tail end of the treatment and ended up being infected and being in over the festive period and just having an awful time of it. But the great news is that now he gets to rest easy in the knowledge that he is now cancer free and doesn't have to go back for another scan for another year now. So amazing news for him and the rest of the Carey clan, and congratulations from everyone here at NARSA, Andy. And when I get the chance to head back over to Paisley, or if you get a chance to head over from Paisley to here, I look forward to buying you a pint to celebrate. Or you can buy me one. I'm completely flexible about that, as you know. From a convention perspective for this week, we are in discussions with the hotel on setting up additional rooms within a room block. As you know, the original 2 room block allocations were sold out in record time. So we have dialogue established with the hotel. We are already oversold on the second one. But if you need to go in and book, you can still do that. They haven't stopped it. What we'll do is kind of play catch up with the next addendum on the contract. But yeah, like everything I've said before, please don't delay and hang around too long. Just get it in there, because the main thing is the rate. If you decide to wait till later, we might have closed all the bookings at that particular point, and then you're not going to get the preferred rate, and you're not going to be in the hotel as well. If that's important to you, then please get a move on with that as well. And as soon as we get the formal part of this taken care of and all the admin side, we'll certainly let everyone know, via email, via the website, via their social media channels as well. So as I've mentioned over the last, probably 2 weeks or so, maybe even longer, a lot of attention is now turned to when the actual event tickets will be available for sale. And as I mentioned before, excuse me, we don't have firm updates yet on that for now, but we do hope by mid-month, and this is a short month, isn't it? So mid-month is just a couple of days away. By mid to late April, we will have an idea of exactly what that's going to look like. We have opened discussions with the hotel on the banqueting costs for the grand banquet meal, which I mentioned last week helps us form the main foundation of the overall event ticket pricing. And we hope to be able to tie that up, I hope, this week. Of course, this is being recorded on Monday evening, and then we will see where we go from there. Our original ticketing partner of choice has changed because their policies are such that it just isn't viable for us to use them anymore. So it doesn't matter who it was, it's of no real consequence. But what we have to do is connect ourselves with a new e-ticketing provider and get ourselves going on that one as well. We've already started research. We have one main candidate that I'm hoping that we can bring forward to fruition and then get that organised so that it all kind of coalesces at the same time, and we can get the pricing done. We can do some testing on the platform for the ticket sales, and then we can get them out as well. So we'll see how that goes. One question that has come up more than once over this past wee while is the process of what we're going to do to put the tickets on sale, specifically from a NARSA perspective. And as per our regular process, we're not going to deviate from that at all. NARSA clubs will have the opportunity to purchase their tickets before they go on general sale, and then the general sale will be shortly thereafter. It's the way that we've done it during my tenure, and there's no reason to change it now. I don't want that to cause any panic for anyone out there, because there will be enough tickets to go around. I know that people will just want to have them secured so that they have it all organised, and I would completely understand that, of course. But NARSA gets the preference. It's the NARSA clubs who have helped keep us going forever and ever, and we will very shortly thereafter get it opened up as well, and we'll communicate what that is the closer we get to that through our ongoing communications as well. So once we know when we can get them on sale and after the testing, we will definitely give everyone plenty of notice. We won't just land it on your laps on the day of and have people scrambling when they're at work or travelling or doing whatever. We'll give a bit of a calendar of events of when it's going to go on sale for NARSA and then when it's going to go on general sale as well. And as I mentioned last week, we were in the process of putting together a frequently asked questions document, and I'm glad to say that it's now up on our website, and we did also communicate it out through our President and Secretary email distribution list and via our social media channels as well. So if you have any questions in and around the convention, please go and visit our site and click on the NARSA 2022 subsite, and you'll see the frequently asked questions right there. And if you go through, if the question you were going to ask is not addressed there, then by all means get in touch with me directly at rangerssec@hotmail.com. That's 2 S's and 2 C's, or via our social media channels, or however you feel like getting in touch, and we'll be more than happy to answer as much as we can. And also on the NARSA website page, if you haven't done so already, there is a facility right there to sign up to our mailing list and receive all the updates as they come out. So that's where we would be sending our updates on when the ticket sales are going to be available and what the process is going to look like and that sort of thing, and obviously the price point as well. So I'll put a link to the subsite from our NARSA site on the blurb that accompanies this podcast, but it is narsa.ca/Las-Vegas-2022. So, but you'll get a chance to see that as well. If you just visit narsa.ca, and then the subsite is just, or the subpage or whatever you call it, is just is predominantly there just below all of our NARSA weekly podcasts and interviews. So that's the update on the convention for this week. We did get some dialogue actually just in the last hour or so with a couple of the guys who are from Las Vegas, with Drew and Jimmy. over there, just with some ideas for excursions for the Friday and some dialogue about the golf and stuff like that as well. So things are ticking along. These guys are thinking. These guys are looking to get organised as quickly as possible, and I'm really looking forward to working with them going forward. They've been great to deal with thus far. From an other business perspective, the NordVPN account saga that I've said I'm going to test out and give you some feedback on, I haven't done it yet. I'm sorry. I will get to it at some point, I promise. But we will try and get the competitions going for the 5 free accounts for NARSA members and friends this week, and we'll get going. Something similar, as I said, last week, maybe as we did for the taxi game, where we will get predict the score or the score line or the first scorer or something like that. Make it a bit fun, make it a bit interactive. Follow NordVPN and that sort of thing, and we'll get going on that. And we did re-establish some contact with Ian Carrollton from Kilts for You, who you might remember are Rangers official Highland Wear licensee organisation, with a view to maybe getting them on the show sometime shortly to go over what's been happening in their world this last wee while, how 55 has affected their product strategy and what we can expect to see next from them. So once we know exactly when that's going to be, we'll let everyone else know. I'm not sure if it'll be a completely separate interview or something that's just a segment on the weekly update. We'll see how long it lasts over the last wee while. But in chatting with Ian from before, we had a great conversation, and he is very much a diehard Blue Nose and a very good speaker as well. So I look forward to chatting with him again. So last week we didn't manage to secure any interviews, so I don't get to do an interview summary for you this time, but I'll tell you a wee bit more about the interviews when we get to the wrap up here just in a wee while. From a communications perspective, I did want to mention a couple of things kind of surrounding the club, maybe not so much things that they've reported on their own, but things that have been on the periphery of our great club. The first one was Liam Balogun's new contract extension to keep him at the club for another year. It's just great to see another important squad member sign a 1-year extension to his current deal. That will see him obviously through to the end of the 2021-2022 season. I didn't actually realise until I started to read. I guess I wasn't paying attention too much before, but he's 32 now. He just looks younger to me for some reason. I had him pegged as late 20s for some reason, but 32, so a good bit of business to tie him up in just the 1 year for right now. And then of course he promptly goes out in his first training session since signing the contract and gets injured. So he's going to be out the team for a wee while now. Dearie me, we haven't been too bad. This is a touch wood moment on the injury front this season. Obviously we've had a couple of serious ones. Our captain and Ryan Jyatt, but we've managed to cope with them very well overall. So, and Nico Katic as well, but that was kind of pre-season, wasn't it? But that's a shame for him, because he would probably be walking around Ibrox or Auchenhowie with his chest puffed out and looking to really finish the season strongly. Hopefully he's not out for too long. But for me, it's just a bit more solid business by the club as we continue to secure the nucleus of the team in preparation for our title defence next season, and of course our stab at qualifying for the Champions League group stages, which is our holy grail and has been for quite some time. So it really is truly great to see overall. And as you'll probably know, Balogun now joins our captain, James Tavernier, Alan McGregor and Stephen Davis as confirmed extensions for next season. Obviously, Tavernier is a little bit longer than that. And don't forget that they're actually joining our newest additions as well that we secured during the winter transfer window there in Jack Simpson and Scott Wright. We've seen a lot more of Scott Wright than we have of Jack Simpson to date. And then we also have the midfielder, I'm going to butcher his name, but I'm assuming it's something like Namdi Ofobor, something like that, who is due to join us in the summer on a 4-year deal from Bournemouth as well. So that's 7 players that we've secured, just in preparation for next time. And it's really is testimony to the work that Ross Wilson and his team are doing on the football operations side of things at the club. I'm fairly sure most of you, like me, understood that we needed help in the continuity side of our squad management at the club, but I didn't really know what that meant, honestly. Just someone to be there, someone to put a strategy in place, someone to see the strategy through. But I have to say, what a difference Ross and his team is truly making in that department. It's night and day, and there's just this blanket of comfort for me that we are in good hands with this man, and it's a tremendous coup for us to have him on the books with us. No more leaked transfer stories, which I kind of miss, to be honest. A consistency in the type of style of diligence that we're doing on the player recruitment side of things, and a genuine continuity and a continuous improvement feel to what we have, within the first team that is going to bode well for us as we do start to sell some of our major assets within the team. Totally night and day to a few years ago, and I honestly think that we've not peaked in terms of return on investment in Ross's model. We'll do the player sales and we'll bring new players in, and we'll get that machine truly going, because we're obviously quite heavy in terms of numbers in the squad right now. So much more to come, I think. So great work to Ross and team on this. It's just a joy to behold that the foundational insides of the club are working so successfully for us. Secondly, this isn't directly for us, as I mentioned earlier there. Just when you thought that mob couldn't lose any less classy than they have, and they couldn't sink any lower, we have them asking for, in inverted commas, clarification on why the appeal hearing for the COVID-5 was set for the 20th of April. And you then have John Kennedy bleating about it in the media, saying it's unfair because his club were dealt with harshly during the Bolingoli situation last summer, when he left the country and came back in and then trained and then played. Aye, right you are, John. Keep up the great work over there. I was invited to do a wee segment on the True Blues Loyal podcast this past Friday, and Victoria Searle was also there as well, from Burlington, the Burlington Rangers Supporters Club, and the question was posed to me during the show of what I thought the SFA would do to us, to Rangers for appealing, for having the audacity to appeal, and then for playing the banned players while the appeal was pending. And my answer was, maybe it came across as a wee bit exasperated, but my answer was simply this: how can we as a club be penalised for following process? And by the way, a process that isn't ours, it's their process that we're following. We're doing everything absolutely by the book. So I see no advantage or disadvantage in terms of the punitive nature of what's coming the players' way at the appeal hearing next week. But, I don't know. Back to the point. This is all that mob has to do with their time, Point to our side of the city and say, that's no fair. That's pure no fair, How the mighty have fallen, and by the way, I don't think they've stopped falling just yet. I think there's more to come. I truly hope that's the case anyway. And now you can really tell why they were in such a hurry to ram through the now infamous Dundee vote last season. They could tell this was coming, and they rammed it through, got their 8.75th title, and moved on to their pathetic attempt to try and get what they call 10. I've often said this is my favourite Rangers and Celtic joke, but I've often said that the only thing that Rangers and Celtic fans have in common is that they're both obsessed by Rangers, and that is so true, and long may it continue. I revel in this. A quick reminder to one of the points that I'd mentioned last week on the Rangers Charity Foundation Champions Challenge from home, and it would be great to have some participation again from NARSA clubs and NARSA club individual members as well, to help raise monies for this great cause, and of course get a wee bit of exercise around trophy presentation weekend as well. So if you need any information on that, please don't hesitate to look on the site or reach out directly to me, rangerssec@hotmail.com, and I would be happy to walk and talk you through what we did last year and what we're hoping to try and accomplish this year as well. But it would be great to keep that. I guess that's probably just under 5 weeks, just under 5 weeks from now, and we'll get it. We won't interfere with the party obviously for Trophy Day, but try and get that done in and around that weekend, raise some funds, and get your name etched on the thank you wall of fame from the Rangers Charity Foundation. From a NARSA specific perspective on the communications front this week, I'd like to talk about two quick things that we'd like to get on with before the end of the season, and one of them is not collecting all the RTV fees that your club may owe. That's a separate issue, but the first one is we'd like to conduct an RTV survey for every club to get feedback on the quality of presentation this season, how the vouchers worked for you, the introduction of the studio for the pre, half and post game analysis, the commentators guests and things like that. It would just be good to see how we all felt about it, so we can feed that information directly back to the club, especially if there's something annoying that you'd like to get off your chests, in terms of a certain Clive Tilsley saying we have friends at Parkhead or something. And this was on our minds for a wee while now. It wasn't just in direct relation to what Clive said yesterday, I promise. But the pre, half and post game analysis show, in the studio, was something that we'd been talking to the club for just about a year before they put it into place. So it wasn't specific to COVID that they decided to do that, for the season ticket holders, to give them a better experience, and value for money, or some sort of equivalency to value for money for not getting to the games. It was something that was on their mind. Maybe it was obviously escalated a wee bit because we had to get to a spot where we were giving a quality product out there. But it would be good to just hear what everyone says, and forward it to your members and get the members to provide a bit of feedback about that as well, because the club would be very appreciative of any pointed feedback that we could provide to them. The second one is that I'd like to put together a NARSA Player of the Year award. I don't recall during my tenure, dating back to 2012, that we've ever done a NARSA Player of the Year award, and that would be a NARSA Rangers Player of the Year award. And I'd love to give this one a go. And instead of maybe gifting the winner with some sort of commemorative memento, like a plaque or a trophy or something like that NARSA would make in lieu of that, a donation to the successful player's charity of choice, or to the Rangers Charity Foundation, or something like that. Maybe the Rangers Youth Development Company, or the former Players Development Club, or something like that. But a very a well-established Rangers-minded cause would be great, or, as I say, the charity of the player's choice, since it is maybe befitting that they would get to choose. So we're going to chat with the rest of the NARSA executive and engage the thoughts and see where we want to take it. But I'd love to just use this as a wee bit of an opportunity to get a bit more community and camaraderie around team matters, things that we actually enjoy talking about, rather than just the general humdrum of NARSA business as well. So stay tuned, and we'll maybe put a bit of a survey monkey together for both the RTV survey and the Player of the Year award. We've got a wee bit of time on both, but we don't want to leave it too late as well, when people are getting a wee bit distracted by the pending summer. So from an interview perspective, as I mentioned earlier, I would tell you a wee bit more about that. We didn't get a chance to secure the interview that I was hoping for last week. My fault, not anyone else's. But I can tell you that we will be interviewing Rangers TV's very own commentator Tom Miller this week to take us through his very interesting and entertaining journey from the stands of Ibrox. Maybe the stands is a wee bit different, and you'll know what I mean when he actually tells us that, because he was in the members' lounge in his introduction to Rangers, and he can tell you more about that than I can. But a very interesting journey that we've talked about just in the preparation for setting up the interview, and I'm really looking forward to catching up with Tom. We've got the interview organised for noon my time, lunchtime tomorrow to my time, and to go through it, and we'll have it packaged and ready for publishing a little bit later in the week. And we might put it out straight away, we might just wait for a couple of days, however quickly we get to the actual technical part of that. But really looking forward to chatting with Tom and getting his thoughts and feelings on how things are going, and obviously his experience of NARSA as well, having been the MC for our convention back in Bramalea in 2014. And we do have some other interviews lined up over the next couple of weeks, some in the hopper, and we're just going to get moving on those as well, and see if we can get those over the line too. From an executive nominations perspective, executive nominations and constitutional changes, the deadline did indeed pass last Monday, that I had been reminding everyone of over the last month or so, and we did indeed just have the 2 constitutional changes that I had discussed directly with everyone listening over the last couple of weeks there. And we have a bit of a mixed bag on the NARSA Executive side, which is going to make things a wee bit interesting as we move towards the AGM on the 5th of June. We do have a few positions still up for grabs. So what we do know is that the positions that are up for grabs as the executive stands right now is the president. Yep, the president role is up for grabs. No one has gone for that yet. And there is a bit of a nuance with the president that this can only be filled by someone from inside the current executive. You have to have 2 years immediate tenure to be able to run for president. We also have an opening for treasurer. So if you have interest and experience on the finance side of things and you'd like to come and help us continue to modernise our finances and help us get things sorted on that side, please by all means get in touch and we'll see where it goes from there. And 3 of the regional directors also remain open: Northwest, Northeast and Southeast as well. So the following roles are confirmed via acclamation as per our constitutional rules. The Vice President for tenure 2021 to 2023 is going to be Brian Campbell. He's going to take up the role of Vice President again for another term. Secretary is Sandra Hawthorne. You'll remember that Sandra was doing Secretary and Treasurer when we had Davy McDowell resign from the Treasurer position a year into his tenure, which ended up being 2 years ago because we extended things almost 2 years ago. So Sandra's going to revert over to her original day job of NARSA Secretary, which leaves the position of Treasurer open, as I mentioned. And we have Assistant Secretary as confirmed being Billy Ferguson again, and Southwest Regional Rep, if we continue with the regional director model, is going to be Alan McWatt again from Orange County. So if we get the changes through to the Constitution and replace the directors with the functional roles that I was mentioning before, Alan has put his name forward for broadcasting director as well, which I think he would be a great fit for. And the past president is going to be me. So we will see what happens over the next wee while. But as I say, if anybody wants to get in touch, and we will, between now and the AGM, literally at the AGM, we would also accept it at nominations and seconders for any of the open positions that I mentioned, and we will take it from there. If you're interested, please don't hesitate to get in touch and we can talk through it. But honestly, everything you need is on the Constitution page of the website, but you can get in touch with me directly if you wanted a wee bit more chat about it, and that's rangersscc@hotmail.com. So just one last wee reminder before we wrap up today that if there is anyone else that you'd like to see interviewed in or around the periphery of the club, former players, some legends, people within the club today, anything like that, please by all means get in touch and we will do our very best to try and make that happen. I've been a wee bit delinquent on it over the last wee while, but I'm going to try and get the cadence back where we have an interview each week as we move towards the close of the season, because I'm not 100% sure what that's going to look like when the season ends and the new NARSA executive come in. So we'll see how it goes from there. And all that remains to say now, folks, is thank you very, very much for taking the time to listen. Please don't hesitate to share this with anyone else you think might be interested. And until next time, take care, all the best. Here's hoping our team smashes that other team on Sunday to give us a quarter final in the Scottish Cup to look forward to. And I will talk to you again next week. Take care. All the very best. Cheerio.